Hello, unravelers. I was in bed. I was ready to go to bed. I am ready to go to bed. But of course, I get onto Court TV and Law and Crime, and shout out to you. Um, and there's something happening right now, and I just felt compelled. I had to get on. I had to talk about it because, well, that's just me. So excuse the bedtime setup, okay? But we're going to talk about it today, right now. Maybe you're in bed too. I hope you're in comfy PJs. I hope your day at work was not terrible. I hope it was good, if those exist. Good days at work. For many, they do. Um, Listen, I'll start by saying this. The sound that the sounds that you hear in a hospital are the sounds of what we hope are managed crises, right? There's that steady beep of monitors. There's that soft hiss of oxygen. There are those quiet, rubber-soled footsteps of people that are just trying to hold back the tide, right? Unfortunately, in a room just like that in Dallas, there is a little boy whose name is Dawson Zamora. And he is right now, he is the center of one such crisis. He right now is lying in a medically induced coma. There are machines breathing for him. His very small body right now is a constellation of injuries that are telling a story that no child should ever have to tell. No child should ever have to live through. And yet he is fighting for his life right now. And so if this story tonight in 10 p.m., by the time I edit and upload, probably midnight on this Tuesday night, if this story does nothing else, I hope that it at least brings a small community of people together who are sending out positive vibes or love or prayers or whatever it is that you do it for Dawson, because right now this 3-year-old child is fighting for his life. And now we're going to talk about why Dawson is fighting for his life in that hospital in Texas, right outside of this very sterile, quiet hospital room. There is a very different story being told. And to me, so far, it is a story that is really just full of bullshit, of lies, of excuses. And thank God there is a digital record that is screaming a truth so loud that it is deafening. It is the story of the two adults. Yes, two. And we'll get there. Two adults who put him there. His mother, Chelsea Berg, and her boyfriend, Christopher Alexander. Let's unravel. So, the day that all of this started for poor Dawson began like apparently any other. At 7:30 a.m., Dawson's mother, Chelsea Berg, she left for work and she left her son, Dawson, sweet. Look at him, you guys. Chelsea left him in the care of her boyfriend, this fucking guy, Christopher Alexander. She would later be, in her own words, adamant that Dawson was perfectly fine when she left for work. There were no visible signs that anything was wrong, and there were no visible signs of the catastrophe that was to come sometime during that morning. Christopher Alexander called Chelsea in a panic. He was taking Dawson to the hospital, he said, but he offered no real explanation as to why he was taking Dawson to the hospital. When they arrived at Medical City McKinney, Alexander offered the first and perhaps most pathetic lie in his story that would actually just become full of them. But the first one that he told the hospital staff was that he heard a thud and then found Dawson unresponsive. A thud. A thud. Let's pause on the word thud, right? When I think of thud, that's the sound that a basket of my teenager's laundry makes, right? When it hits the floor and they tell me that it needs to be washed before, tomorrow morning. It's a thud, right? A thud is the sound of one of my books falling off a shelf, but it is not by any means, by any stretch of the medical or physical imagination, the sound of a force that would cause, let's see, a list of the following injuries. This is what our sweet baby Dawson Zamora is fighting right now. This is the thud: severe brain trauma, bleeding in the brain, wounds to the chest and stomach, and bruising in so many different stages of healing that Dawson's body was a living timeline of his own abuse. The hospital staff, to their credit, they knew bullshit when they heard it, and they knew bullshit when they saw it. The injuries were, as they officially noted, inconsistent with Alexander's explanation of a thud. Yeah. They called the police. Thank God. They called the police. And as soon as law enforcement entered the picture, the two adults, as I said, two adults responsible for Dawson, they started to show their true colors. They did. So Alexander, right? He's the man with the thud story. This is Chelsea's boyfriend. He actually immediately lawyered up and has refused to speak a single word to police. Chelsea Berg, that's this girl, on the other hand, she has cooperated so far, and she has given police her version of events. When she gave police her version of events, she also gave police her phone. She had no idea, actually, that she was handing police a confession. She was. While Dawson was being transferred to a specialized children's hospital to continue the fight for his life, investigators had already started looking at the evidence, and the most powerful witness was not a person at all. It was actually Dawson's own body. The doctors found ANAL trauma, an injury for which there is no playground explanation, right? There is no accidental justification for injuries of this kind. I'm sorry. I work in healthcare, and there's just not. There's just not. They found bruises. They found so many bruises, fresh ones, old ones, healing ones, just a plethora of bruises on this little boy's body, a forensic map, basically, of repeated, sustained violence that completely made Alexander's story of a single accidental thud not just a lie. This is not just a lie, but it's actually an insult to the intelligence of any of these healthcare workers. It's actually a fucking mockery of the little boy who is right now in ICU fighting for every single breath that he is taking. But the story here, the real story, the story that everyone's talking about, right, is how this was allowed to happen. That story wasn't on Dawson's body. That story was on his mother's phone. Let's go back a month, right? A month, September 9th. Chelsea Berg sends a text message to Christopher Alexander, her boyfriend, and the text says, quote, "He clearly hit his head when he fell. He has a bruise on his eyebrow and his whole jawline/cheek is bruised. You're reckless. You're dangerous." Unquote. Dangerous. Dangerous. Chelsea Berg knew that Christopher Alexander was dangerous. She knew this. She saw the bruises. She identified the source of these bruises, and she typed out the word dangerous. She didn't say he was clumsy. She didn't say he was careless. She said he was dangerous. But what did she do? She did nothing. In fact, she kept leaving her 3-year-old son with the man that she had in writing identified as a danger to him. And it gets worse, because a little over a week later, on September 18th of this year, so last month, she sends another series of text messages to Alexander and she says, 1,000,000% serious. You bruise him, hurt him, and cause damage every single time you are alone with him. There hasn't been a single time you've been alone with him where he hasn't been hurt. Read that again if you must. Pause it, go back, reread if you have to. But I'll tell you what it says. It doesn't say sometimes it's weird because sometimes when he comes back. No, it doesn't say sometimes. It doesn't say often even. It says every single time. She is stating in these text messages with the certainty that leaving her son with her boyfriend guarantees every single time that her child will be harmed. It is the most damning self-indictment imaginable. She then follows it up with a moment of very stunning, tragic clarity. She says, quote, "You being in my life is quite literally a threat to my son," unquote. She wrote the headline for her own son's tragedy a month before it ever happened. She knew, she saw, she understood 100%, and she documented it with precision. And then every morning after that, she continued to leave her son with the man that she knew was a threat to him. The man that she knew was hurting him according to her own text, every single time. And so here we are. And here is why I am up and recording when you guys are so cathartic for me. This is therapy for me to be able to read about these cases and become so infuriated that I now have an outlet because I have people who are watching and listening and understanding and are right there with me. And that is incredible to me. So again, I'll tell you guys every single day, thank you so much. But anyway, back on track. Here we are, right? Okay, so Christopher Alexander, the boyfriend, he is in Collin County Jail. He is being held on a $210,000 bond. He is being charged with exactly what you would expect him to be charged with right now, injury to a child by act. And he is the one who did the harming, the physical harming, right? He's also being charged with tampering with evidence for that thud story that he spewed, which again is a lie that is just so completely fucking transparent. It should be its own crime. Lying that badly should be its own crime. And then for good measure, he's actually being charged with a stalking charge, which is actually painting a fuller picture of the type of man that Dawson Zamora was left with on a daily basis. But let's talk about Chelsea Berg. Chelsea Berg, the mother, she is being charged. She is being charged with injury to a child by omission. Her crime was not of violence by her own hands, right? But it's in the failure of her will. She willfully left this child with a man that she knew was hurting him. In Texas, I hope not just in Texas, I'm pretty sure in most states, right? A parent has a legal duty to protect their child from known harm. And Berg's own text messages obviously are the prosecution's star exhibit to her charges. They are a very crystal clear testament, in my opinion, to her absolute awareness of the danger that she was putting her son in, and then a very criminal failure to act on it. She did actually bond out of jail. Her bond was set at $100,000. While our legal system is grinding on, right, which we hope so far it's doing the right things. But let me repeat this. Dawson Zamora remains to this day in a hospital bed. His biological father is by his side. He is watching, he is waiting, and he is hoping for a miracle, as are so many other people that know and love Dawson. And so this story, this case that I'm talking about tonight is one of two very distinct kinds of evil, in my opinion, right? One is the active, violent evil of this man who could find it in themselves or have it in themselves to brutalize a child in this way. And then you have this passive, negligent evil, in my opinion, of this woman. This is a mother. This is a mother who saw it, who named it, who documented it, and then actively chose to look away. And this is fucking crazy to me. She knew he was a threat. She very blatantly called him dangerous. And then she grabbed her bag and left for work. So that is where we are. Please keep Dawson in your thoughts, in your prayers. I'm going to be following this closely. And if I get any updates, even if it's just a short 2-minute one, I'll pop in and give you guys updates as I get them. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on this late Tuesday night. Tomorrow we're halfway there. I'm so proud of you. And again, I just love you guys so much for being with me here in this space and making it a safe one and a respectful one and a compassionate one, and for letting me talk about these things with you, you know, even when I get the urge to do so. I will see you guys again. It is almost Halloween and we have one more spooky tale to tell. So I will be doing that later this week, and I can't wait to see you guys for that also. Until I do, please stay safe. Keep asking questions. And as always, keep unraveling. Love you.